Wir schreiben das Jahr 2022. WEF hat mal wieder ein Forum gemacht in Davos und hier war eines der Themen the Trustworthiness of Digital Ecosystem. Und es waren meiner Meinung nach wirklich sehr, sehr gute Gespräche. Ich habe ein paar Sequenzen herausgezogen und schaut es euch einfach an. Bei diesem Weltwirtschaftsforum waren wirklich teilweise richtig gute Leute dabei, mit Herz und Verstand. Und auch wenn der Klaus Schwab nicht wirklich böse gemeint, aber sein Great Reset, muss ich sagen, sehr kommunistisch und ich bin doch Demokrat und eher Kapitalist, Sozialkapitalist. Aber waren wirklich gute Leute dabei teilweise, wie immer diametral, wie immer Reibung, wie immer wachsen. Aber schaut es euch an und viel Spaß dabei.
So can I just jump in here and say that in theory this is good, but it's predicated on the understanding, the assumption that the consumer actually understands what he's clicking. So when you push it to the consumer to say that you consent to this, do we really understand what we consent? So two things. One is to answer Sir Martin's question. I have recently decided not to click I agree. And what I found out was that then the app didn't load. So I was caught in a situation where if you don't agree, it doesn't work. So I have a choice not to use the app or agree and then use the app.
Did you end up using it?
Yes, I did. I'm sad to say that I, in the end, relented.
Next time.
Now, but I think this is precisely an example of the false choice. So you don't have really a choice. Now, a second study that was done a couple of years ago in the UK, that on April 1st, several companies decided on a lark to change their terms and conditions. And one of them was a gaming company, and the conditions were changed to say that, oh, I hereby agree to give my firstborn child, to the company, or my eternal soul, etc. And quite a number of people clicked yes, because we don't read the terms and conditions. All right, so this was an April Fool's joke. But the point is that we don't read the terms and conditions. Even we don't understand it. And thirdly, do we really have a choice? So I think the theory behind it is a sound one. But the actual practice, I think, suffers from an asymmetry of information. The consumer doesn't understand what is being used, doesn't understand what the data can be used for, doesn't really have control. So I think that's the challenge. And so long as we have this asymmetry, I think it's going to be a challenge. One question is whether we can allow big tech companies to exploit the asymmetry. Not all of them do. Some of them, I think, perhaps trying to do good. Or perhaps is there a role for government to intervene when there is an asymmetry? NGOs, IOs, to actually talk about what kind of rules we should have on cyberspace. And this is immensely important because you can't just leave it to states to do it. States, in my opinion, don't have the full understanding, don't have the full levers. We need civil society, we need industry, academia to come in.
So for a private sector...
Singapore is a shining example, but it's the exception that proves the rule. I mean, GDPR, Michelle mentioned GDPR. Now, although the Commissioner denies this was the objective in part was to clip the wings of the big tech companies, platforms. What it did, in fact, was to discourage more small and medium-sized companies, tech companies, from coming into the European marketplace. It had completely the reverse effect. And the problem with the regulator, not in Singapore, I hasten to add again, but the problem with the regulator is they tend to be behind the curve. Again, we were talking in the metaverse, about the metaverse in an earlier session today, and one of the worries there will have to be regulation. It will have to be a public-private partnership in terms of regulation, but will the regulator be able to keep up? I'm certainly in the risk of getting my bottom smacked. The UK is way, way behind from a regulation point of view. Hugely.
So if the government is behind, regulators are behind, the private sector, cybersecurity can be more proactive on this particular issue?
Well, I was going to say specifically to what you were just describing, the entrepreneur in me says, well, that's an opportunity. An entrepreneur should go build the next Facebook, next Google, and call it something else, right? Competition is good. And We learned a lot. People are fed up. This is an opportunity for someone to build another really big company built with different values that encompass a lot of the things we're talking about, that helps accrue trust and not degrade trust. And so I see it, it's an opportunity. I mean, there's, again, a lot of, and maybe we have to do what you do, but in the interim, there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there trying to build something. And so when you think about all of us, what can we do? Well, as users, you should for sure improve, everyone should improve their digital literacy. That's something we can all do. Digital citizenship matters a ton. But the second bucket is, as a person, vote with your wallets and your feet. Where are you spending your time every day? If you are spending time on these sites where you don't agree with their values, go somewhere else, seek it out, because that matters. Like adoption, time, money spent. And then for the businesses that are listening, and there's a lot of businesses, you can do the same thing. Vote with your wallets too. Go buy from companies where you believe that they're doing the right thing, and they take privacy important and they take the data important, and they exist. And I mean, I know Cloudflare is one of them, but there are many others. And what I'm seeing more and more in the business sector is companies are looking for vendors who take that seriously, and they're shifting their spend to that. And that is something that we can do. We don't have to wait for laws changing and regulation to help shape some of the industry, just to shift the momentum. I think that's really, really important, and something for all of us to keep in mind.
At a personal level, do you trust the digital ecosystem?
I have to.
You have to, yes.
No, look, I think there are three broad areas which people worry about. And it's different communities who worry, different stakeholders worry about. Obviously, consumers, individuals worry about privacy. Clients worry about brand safety, having their communications juxtaposed against unpleasant content. And then finally, governments probably worry about, or potential governments worry about, political intervention. So you've got three broad areas. I mean, I think you said part of what I wanted to say, which is what we're witnessing here is a democratization of content that we have never, ever seen before. This is a fourth industrial revolution, whatever you want to call it. I just came from a session on the metaverse, and that's raises all sorts of issues in relation to what we're talking about. But and the regulatory issues around that are going to be huge. But the potential, again, we could all be here instead of 2 million people, as I'm told, being online watching this. I hope there are. If there are, Martin at s4capital.com, let me know. But if they could come here on the metaverse, be a different story. The other thing I would just like to say this, and this is a contentious point, but does anybody here really believe that traditional media didn't have bias? Does anybody here really believe that the owners of traditional media, whether it be at TV stations, radio, newspapers and magazines, didn't inject bias into their organizations at one point in time? Were they all true and fair? I just pose that question. And the fundamental issue is around whether the platforms are media owners or not. I mean, are they responsible for the content on their platforms?
Yes.
Or not? Now, when I was at WPP, we used to talk about this issue. It's sort of subsided a bit, because what's happened, I think the six big platforms, there are really six big players. Mm. It's Alphabet, it's Meta, it's Amazon, it's Alibaba, it's Tencent, and now it's growing, it's ByteDance and TikTok. Those are the six. The others are significant. Snap's significant, as we saw 48 hours ago, but it's only about 5 billion of ad spend, right? Google's at 200 plus, Facebook 100 plus, Amazon's about 31, probably 41 this year. So these are the big boys and girls. And what's happened is that they are now exercising restraint and control to a degree that we've never seen before. They've realized, either because of the brute force of the regulator, or because they understood that regulation was coming, they've started to put their own house in order. And I think that's very significant. Just one other thing I want to say. The war throws up some really big issues around cyber. When people talk about the war, and when you talk about investment in defense or offense, You're not just talking about military hardware and missiles and military personnel, you're talking about cyber. So the tech companies become more and more important. And I think this is going to be really interesting because the issues that I mentioned around privacy in particular are going to become more, because we will want, I as an elector will want my government to be more aware of what's happening, because I want my country to be safe and I want my family to be safe. So I think raising some really
sacrifice a little bit of your privacy in order to achieve that.
Yes, personally, yes. Now there are lots of people out there who will not be prepared to do it. So it raises a lot of tendentious issues.
All right. So, well, thank you for putting